Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer.
I'm Steve Wilkes.
Last time when we got together, we talked about
tornadoes.
And what's going on in the news now?
More tornadoes.
More tornadoes, unfortunately. In fact, the tornadoes have hit closer to home.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
Last night, the tornado sirens were going, and the family and I, including the mother-in-law and all the dogs, were down in the basement. Luckily, the only thing that we lost was sleep.
Us too. We had, I'm about 8 or 9 miles down the road from James, and we did not have tornado sirens going off. But very scary weather last night, and my heart goes out to everyone who lost life, limb, and home. So.
Right.
But what happier things.
Yeah, we're going to try to bring you some diversion today. We are sipping an American Pale Ale. Cheers.
Which you made.
Yes, I did.
Holy cats! That's really good. Acting! He told me to sell it.
Well, you know, but I meant be honest about it.
Well, I am. Actually, you know me.
You are understated sometimes.
I am an understated fellow.
But this is a really tasty brew.
Very good.
And it's very easy to make, and we're going to tell you and show you how to make it. This is a variation on my 15-minute ale. I've done 15-minute Amarillo. I've done 15-minute Simcoe. Basically, what you want to do is take an extract beer and only boil it for 15 minutes.
I love this.
So here's what you do. First off, you start with some water. Now, I started off with 6 gallons of water, which turns out to be a bit too much because my original gravity, or pre-boil gravity, was a bit low. So you get your water in the kettle, and as your water is heating, you steep 1 pound of 60 Lovibond crystal in the water, and when it reaches 170 degrees Fahrenheit or 76 degrees Celsius, you take that out. And then you add, at that point, 6 pounds of light, dry malt extract. As that's coming up to boil, you don't even have to wait till it's coming up to boil to add the extract.
It's probably even safer that way because you don't get that.
You don't get the boil over.
That boil over explosion thing that can happen.
Exactly. So after I added my extract, I noticed that the gravity was only 1.041 or 1041, which is a little lower than what I expected. So instead of a 15-minute boil, it turned out to be a 30-minute boil. I boiled it for 15 minutes with no hops, and then 15 minutes before the end of the boil, I put in 2 ounces of Simcoe.
Yep.
And I put in the chiller at that point in the Irish moss. 10 minutes later, 5 minutes before the end of the boil, I put 2 ounces of Amarillo. And then at flame out, 2 ounces of Cascade.
That's amazing to me, and the reason it's amazing to me is because that much hops of that strength, those are strong hops, bitterness-wise, bitterness units. You would think that that thing would just be a total hop bomb.
Well, the thing is, you're only boiling them for 15 minutes.
Right, so you're not getting that bitterness extraction, but you are getting all that flavor and bouquet,
right? Which
is the part of the hop that I like the best.
Yeah.
So kudos.
So it's a little more expensive because you're using more hops, but it turned out to be the original gravity of this is 1049. So it is pretty much a session beer in my book, but it is so hoppy, and there's enough bitterness in there to balance it out.
It does hold up very well. So very nice. So it's a heck of a good beer.
Thank you. And I just love it.
Yeah.
So extract beers don't look down your nose at extract beers. You can make some really good extract beers.
Yeah, you know, in fact, for me personally, in my personal life right now, I'm so busy. And I'm an all-grain brewer. I prefer to brew all grain. But I'm not getting to brew because I just can't block out that 6 to 8 hours to do it. And I'm kind of running low. It's time for a 15-minute beer.
There you go.
So
now, I made this beer as a part of the current Brew Your Own Magazine Basic Brewing Radio collaborative experiment on rehydrating yeast. Now, we are sprinklers.
I did take Flomax.
Wait. when we use dry yeast, we just sprinkle it on the top of the wort in the fermenter.
Yes.
But they say that it works better. It's better for the yeast if you rehydrate it in some water before you put it in the wort.
Now, when I make bread or pizza, actually, I make pizza pretty often. I always hydrate the yeast. I never use the dry, just sprinkle the dry yeast into the flour.
Right.
Which you can do, I mean, you know. But I always make a wet yeast.
Right.
But I don't do that with beer.
Now, the biggest reason that, well, the two reasons. I always get good results from sprinkling, but who's to say that I couldn't get better? So that's one good reason for the experiment. Number two, when you rehydrate the yeast, that's another step that you have to do in the brew day, and it's also another step that potential contamination can get into your beer, so you have to be really careful when you do it.
Yeah.
Now, so what I did was I split the wort in half, dog crossing. I split the wort in half and split the packet of yeast in half as well. Sprinkled one half. The other half, I took a cup and a third of water, boiled it for 10 minutes to sanitize it, or to well, not sterilize it, but sanitize it. Then I chilled that down to about 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius. Right. Put the yeast in there, let it fluff up, stirred it a bit, and it became this creamy consistency. Right. Then, as the wort was chilling, this yeast, rehydrated yeast, was chilling as well. It reached 84 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 degrees Celsius. And at that point, my wort was at 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius. And I mention that because you don't want to have too much of a temperature difference between your yeast and your wort, because you don't want the yeast to go to sleep as soon as you pitch it in there. Right. So all you have to do is just pour the yeast slurry into your fermenter and shake to aerate. I shook both to aerate, and off they went. So you'll have to tune into Basic Brewing Radio here in a couple of months to see how that turned out. Now the deadline for this experiment is July 15th.
So there's a little time to get involved.
Yeah. So try it. You know, you don't have to make an all-grain beer. You can do an extract beer. Yeah. And see how it turns out. Now, we're going to be taking the month of June off from the audio and video podcasts.
We are indeed. Because
we're going to be taking some time with our families. And I've got my AHA glass here. We're going to be at the National Homebrewers Conference in San Diego.
Sunny San Diego.
How exciting is that?
Well, I'm overjoyed. You can cut that, by the way.
I was waiting for you to elaborate so I could take a sip. But Andy Sparks is going to be out. Andy Sparks is going to be out there as well.
Yay!
So it should be a wonderful trip. Be good to see some of you guys out there, and I've been corresponding with people that are going to be out there as well. So great beer out in the San Diego area.
Yeah.
And great homebrew as well. So we hope to see you out there.
I think it'll be a great conference.
And if we don't see you then, we'll see you back here in July.
Yeah.
So until then, be safe, watch the weather.
Indeed.
And be careful.
Happy brewing.
Cheers. Come and visit us on the web at basicbrewing.com. You can find archived lists of both our audio and video podcasts on home brewing. You can also find our DVDs, Extract Brewing and Partial Mashing, Stepping into All Grain, Low-Tech Lagering and Decoction Mashing, Introduction to Wine Kits, and our 2011 Brewer's Logbook. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Write to James at basicbrewing.com, Steve at basicbrewing.com, or just use the contact form on basicbrewing.com.